Thank you.
I'll try and go quick. I'm Katie Slusher. I'm the Planning and Development Coordinator for Roanoke City Parks and Recreation. So what I'm going to talk about is how, Wayne talked about the big picture plan for the whole city, how all these different departments and projects kind of nest under that. So I'm going to try and talk about, from our lens in Parks and Recreation, how we make some of those projects come to life. So I'm going to use the lens of the Eureka Recreation Center because that's one that you can kind of see all the steps. I think one of the things I really want to emphasize is that people get really frustrated with how long things can take sometimes. And I do understand that, but the thing I want to try and explain is how a lot of these things that feel like they're slowing down the process were put in place to open opportunities for engagement, to protect the taxpayers from abuses, from people, making choices, moving forward with things that, haven't had more broad input or aren't giving the opportunity for people to sort of participate and be involved in the ways that we all want. So I'm going to start off with the first step in this process goes back to 2017. So this was a feasibility study that the department did to just look at the recreation centers in the city, what it would take to renovate those, what the needs were, just a very focused deep dive into, in particular, Eureka Park Recreation Center, and looking at ideas for renovation, what the staffing would be, what the necessary funding would be to staff those, that sort of thing. So very focused on that one particular recreation center just to see what was possible. So that actually happened right before our Parks and Rec master planning process occurred in 2019. So this plan is our 10-year plan. We do a 5-year update that's just kind of a check-in on progress and course correcting if we need to halfway through that. So this is a big process. It takes over a year. There's a lot of different elements to it. One part is looking at demographics, looking at trends in the city. Are we having a growing population of young people, a growing population of older folks? What parts of the city are people moving in and out of, that sort of thing. Another part is benchmarks, so looking at other similar sized cities. Are we on par with what they're doing? Are there places where we have deficits? Are there places that we're really excelling? We look at gap analysis studies. So this is a map showing neighborhood parks. We have them for all different kinds of amenities, tennis courts, dog parks, things like that, to see where there are holes in the offerings that we have, where there are particular areas of the city that don't have certain types of amenities. And then we do a lot of public engagement. So this was some of the board's kind of live drawing exercises from public meetings where we're hearing from folks on what their big picture goals and vision are for the parks over the next 10 years. So out of that came, this is where I come in trying to realize these capital projects, right? So these were the capital improvement priorities that came out of that. There's programming priorities, there's strategic priorities, other thing in the plan as well, but through the lens of kind of capital improvements, this was the big, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and then looking to the next plan, what are our priorities going to be? So you can see modernizing the recreation center is here in that 5 to 10 year range. So then when we have these priorities coming from our plan, I have to go, like Wayne was saying, there's all these different departments, they all have their own plans, right? So this is just kind of a snapshot to give you an idea of when we're coming to the city leadership, coming to city council, coming to the city manager's office, asking for funding in the capital improvement plan for these projects. These are all the other projects that those other departments are also coming forward with and saying this is really important and these are the things we need. And it's everything from bridges, sidewalks, improvements to technology, fire trucks, ambulances, So there's really a huge range of needs. And the city leadership, your elected officials, they have to decide how to prioritize. And it's not an easy job because, as you can see, there's a lot of things on the list. So then when we get something into that capital plan, it's a 5-year plan. So this is just another snapshot from the capital improvement plan showing some of the projects we have in the immediate years. And so when I get a new project into the capital plan, it's added on to that 5th year of the plan. So the budget that the city just approved a couple weeks ago, that's got the next 4 years that we had been planning for, and then we plan an additional year out for that 5th year of what we're going to spend money on. So sometimes things move around, but it's, you're really looking far ahead when you're planning for a capital project. So now we've got there. So in 2019 with the master plan, we said we need to plan for this rec center in that 5 to 10 year range. So we put it in the capital improvement plan for these fiscal years that we're kind of in right now. And so now we're there and we have to start the design process. So this is the RFP that we put out to hire a designer to design the rec center for us. So this went out in April 22. So this is a competitive process that takes several months. The reason that we do it this way is to make it competitive, to make it based on people's qualifications and skills to design something like this, not something where I can just pick whoever I want or whoever I know to do the job. So again, it takes several months instead of me just, calling up someone and hiring someone. But it all has to be public. It has to be posted publicly for 30 days. So everyone has the opportunity to submit and say, I would like to design this project. Here are my credentials. We have a committee of multiple people that reveals that. So it's not any one person that is just making a unilateral decision and saying, this is my favorite, or again, this is the person I know, I'm just going to pick them. So that's the RFP process. It's a 30-some page document of a lot of legalese. Once we hire the designer, we begin the design process. It took about 18 months. We had several community engagement meetings from kind of through end of 2022 into 2023. The last public meeting we had about this was last summer. And so a lot of folks, I think, again, have felt like, we haven't been hearing a lot. We're not sure what's going on. So this is what we've been working on since then, is the drawing set for the center. And this is basically our contract with when we go to hire the person who's actually going to build it. We have to have every little thing we want in this drawing set as our contract to obligate them to build it exactly the way we want. And so this document is about 125 pages of these drawings. So it takes our design consultants a good amount of time to work through all of these details. And it's everything from, where are the pipes going underground to, how are we, again, just kind of a snapshot of a lot going into these. How are we putting the whole roof together, right? So we can make it clear things like, one of the examples I think of is the gym floor. There was some discussion that came up in the community meetings about, we really want this certain type of flooring. Right now the gym has a lower quality flooring that it doesn't function in the same way as a good quality wood gym flooring. All of that has very specific design details that we want to make sure we include so that contractor that builds it can't go and put in something that is not to the level that we want. So all of that has to be documented and very clear. And we take this drawing set and we go to the city permitting office. I think this is another thing that people find a little weird, is that even though I work for the city, just like you, if you wanted to build an accessory dwelling unit in your backyard, I also have to go to the permit office and get them to approve the plan set. So there's the comprehensive site plan review, where they look at everything you're doing on the whole site to see, and that's actually kind of what this plan is coming from, of when you're constructing this, that you're not going to do any damage to the surrounding environment, that you're not going to allow erosion to happen and get into the water system. So there's both regulations for how you're building, what you're doing when you're constructing, and then obviously that the building, once constructed, has all the safety features, meets all the building codes that the city has regulations for. So that takes several months to get through that permitting process, and now we're to the step in the process where we're at right now, where this is going out to bid for the contractors who want to build the project to be able to submit their bids this week. Yay! So this weekend, that will be, again, posted publicly, so that's another public process. This was another thing that came up in the public meetings, was people very interested in what the level of opportunity was going to be for local contractors, for underrepresented, contractors of color, that sort of thing. So it will be up for 30 days on the city's website. All contractors are able to bid on that project if they are capable of doing a project of that scale. They're welcome to submit that bid. And we will open bids in June and then sign the contract, and it'll be an 18-month construction timeline from there. So I know it's a little wild to think about, when you think from 2017 doing a feasibility study to, we're talking about opening in early 2026. That's basically 10 years. So it is definitely a long time to wait. And I think it's a balance that is tough to strike because, again, not part of it is all the competing needs. Part of it is all those processes of due diligence that we go through. And the other part of it is that, I still meet people that have no idea this project is happening, right? And that's something that we're looking for ways at every turn to do better about getting people involved throughout the process, having them plugged in, knowing that things are coming. But there's an element where, it takes a long time, but also sometimes people feel like if they haven't heard about something, if they haven't had a chance to give their input, that all of a sudden it feels like it's happened too fast. So it's a tough balance to strike. We definitely want to make sure that people are involved in the process and have time to sort of digest, give feedback, especially if it's something like this where it's, there are children in the center and the after school program, and it's going to be a transition for them, right? We don't want those things to kind of happen overnight, but at the same time, it's hard to move through all these steps in the process in a way that is as expedient as I think a lot of people would hope to see. So, does anyone have any questions about that process? Or yeah?
Can you update us on approximately when the Park Rec Center's closing? Now, you said for 18 months?
Yeah, so it'll be August. Yeah, so we're the bid documents will be up for 30 days. We'll open bids at the end of June. We're leaving about a month to work through the contract with that bidder. And then August will be when activities will start happening on site. They'll start doing, any kind of abatement that needs to be done, and the contractor will start moving in. And the after-school program is relocating for the fall semester to another site for the next year and a half. So it'll be August that the contractor will be mobilizing.
What site is the after-school program?
We haven't quite finalized the agreement. It's going to be a church in the neighborhood. There were a couple churches that, our programming staff had been working with to try and figure out what space would work best for the program and still, accommodate all the churches' needs as well for their programming. So, yeah.
Is there any way you can have some informational flyers through Juneteenth at Eureka Park this year?
So yeah, I'm going to be at Juneteenth.
Okay.
I'm going to have all of the plans, And our artist in residence on this project, Robin Mitchell, did an interactive mural last year.
Yeah.
We're going to do a similar activity with people attending Juneteenth this year. Have an interactive arts project, talk a little more about public art ideas for the center. So